In a rock record, the sound of the guitar is fundamental, and if poorly done, the whole song falls apart. Techniques such as doubling and layering different combinations of guitars, amps, and cabinets are always mentioned, but rarely explained, until today, because what you're about to see is part of a guitar tracking session, where I explain every move with little to no editing, so you can see how I get to the end result. I will be using a technique known as reamping, where a previously recorded clean DI signal is sent to a real amplifier and effects. This means that you can replicate all of what I do if you're using software such as Guitar Rig or a modeler like a Kemper Profiler, because the principles apply the same. Here's my signal pad. I will be using my Marshall DSL 2000 as my amplifier, alongside some pedals, and I will be using the Celestion speaker plugin by Softtube as my cabinet simulation. But here's the kicker. I am splitting the signal of the dry amplifier, so one goes to the recording device while the other goes into my Eventide H90, which will be used to apply stereo effects to the sound of my amp, which of course will be recorded as well. So let's begin. I suppose that the guy from the future already explained to you the signal path, but in case he didn't, I'm gonna just give you a quick refresher. What we got here is my pedal board. This is my main board, and right now I am outputting my signal through the pedals that you have in front of you, but also I have a wet setup, and I am actually gonna be bringing in effects to the sound of my guitar while tracking. More on that later. First, let's make sure that we got and we craft a very good sounding amplifier by its own sound. So as you can see here, I already have my channels already set. This is the clean channel, and I already got my DI track, my guitar DI track, already sending stuff to my amp. So we're gonna get a sound like this. As it is already sounding quite nice, right? Let me show you why. This over here is the Celestion speaker cabinet simulation software that I use. I have this kind of preset that I like to use for clean tones. Right now, we're listening to this particular array of microphones. I'm gonna switch to a secondary in case we don't like this tone. The first one, the one on the left, it's slightly warmer, while the one on the right is slightly more pointy. I think I'm gonna stick to the one on the left for now, and from there I'm gonna be crafting the tone. So here we go. Let's mess around with the equalizer. That sounds quite good to me. So now let's bring in the rest of the stuff. So unmuting the bass, the kick, and synthesizers. Here we go. Now I'm gonna insert back the effect in the way in. It's here in the front end. This is like a tape saturation stuff, but it's being used as a modulation effect. Let's see how it sounds like now. The H90 can run two effects at the same time, and thanks to its internal routing matrix, one can go into the front end of the amp while the other is used as a stereo effect.
A few moments later.
That sounds good. Now, here comes the big guns. I'm gonna bring in the sound of the stereo effects. Here we go. So cool, right? Now, at the beginning of the track, there is a filter that plays a very important role, that it's applied by the H99. So it sounds like this. Fantastic, right? It's already doing it. So I think it's time for recording. So here we go. I'm gonna get my record armed, guitar clean, and clean effects already set to record. Here we go. Drop the ball, because the idea is for that section I will cut off the filter during that musical phrase. Here we go.
A few moments later.
Mistake. I should have turned on the effect there. Here we go. Record again. Oh shit. Let's do it again. Perfect. Done. Now let's make sure that our tech folder is correctly set. So let's see, because for whatever reason, by doing this technique, there is always this gap here. But let's see. I'm going to use 53 for confirmation. See how it sounds like. Worked. Excellent. Now let's go to the final section of the track using this guitar tone. So it's here. Let's check it out. And this section is basically the same tone that we're working with at the moment, but I'm gonna switch the filter for fast. So here we go. Nailed. We did it. Now let's move over to another clean guitar tone. I am gonna use, yeah, it's this overdriven section. It's not a clean guitar tone. So, but let's do, yeah, because it's still using the same sound here. So let's do it. I'm gonna be reamping this take. And let me check that everything is set correctly. Yes, it is indeed. So now let's open up the appropriate guitar track. This guy. So it's gonna be the left, but I'm gonna be tracking the stereo effect as well because it's part of this tone. So yes, mute the previous guitar. Here it is. Let's see how it sounds like. And also I'm gonna create another one of these, but this is gonna be overdrive effects. There it is. So let's see. This should be input 8. Okay, let's see. In this section, I will use the tube screamer to boost even harder. No filter. Here we go. Let's see how it sounds like. So good. Let's record. Nailed. That was freaking amazing. Love it. That's why nobody beats a tube screamer, man. Let's clean this up because I wanna make sure that I have to do less homework once I'm ready to once I hit the editing period process. There it is. Okay, now we got these guys out of the way. Let me check if I have another overdrive guitar. Yes, I do, but this is not gonna be using the same effect. So in this case, I'm just gonna bring back that guy, which is overdrive, but this is gonna be R. In this case, I recorded a second guitar here on my DIs, but I did it, sure, here it is. I did it with a different guitar to add an extra sense of stereo field. So let's play with it. Also, we got our speaker cabinet selection for this one is once again another preset that I got feel free to copy them, because that's how you can work fast. Now, that's on the left. Let's check the right. We got something very similar, but look at this. We're swapping positions. Let's get this going. I'm gonna make a loop out of this track, of this section, so we can actually compare how it fares now that we're gonna be adding a second tone. I'm gonna be using the exact same settings on my board, but in this case, I'm gonna bypass the modulation effect, the sticky tape that I'm applying to the front end, but I'm gonna keep the tube screamer on. Let's see what we get. Also, make sure that we get the right input. Input 8. That's it. I think it's a little bit bright. Let's play around with the microphones, and I'm gonna isolate the tone of that overdriven guitar so we can actually analyze it by tone. I'm gonna go for a little bit darker tone for this guitar, because it's already amassing. Due to the use of the tube screamer, we're getting a little bit of extra high end, and I think I got a very good sounding tone. The thing is that once you merge it into the mix, you get that extra push in the high end that is not necessarily of my liking. So let's see. I'm covering a different range with this guy, so I'm gonna make it a little bit louder then. Here we go. I think it sounded cool with the flanger. Let's listen to it again. Yeah, let's go for a flanger. Love the tone. Here we go. Excellent. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, because next week I'm gonna be uploading the rest of this reamping session, on which I'm gonna be tackling the heavily distorted guitar and lead tones. If you want to support this kind of content, the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by following us on social media such as X and Instagram, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Also join our Discord to keep the conversation going. Link in the description of this video. And as with every single time that I meet you, I remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. Remember though, see ya when I see ya.